Well, it's that time of the year again. And if you're watching this video when it's published, it's the second week of December. Conference championships have been played, and now it's time to honor the best of the best. It's awards weekend. Have you ever been playing a dynasty in NCAA and you go to see which of your players are receiving awards consideration? You see that your offensive lineman is being considered for the Best OL award, but have you ever wondered what the real name of that award is? Sure, everyone knows the Heisman, but do you know what the Bronco Nagurski trophy represents? Well, that's what this video is all about. I'm going to give you some background on every trophy in the FBS and explain exactly why these players deserve to have awards named after them. Now, real quick, I do want to note that I'm following a list of the awards that are part of the NCFAA, that's the National College Football Awards Association. So there will be some trophies that you're used to seeing given out that won't be a part of this list. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Let's start with the Wuerffel Trophy. Now, this trophy is awarded to the player who best combines exemplary community service with athletic and academic achievement. The trophy itself depicts former Florida quarterback Danny Wuerffel praying after scoring a touchdown. Wuerffel is known for his philanthropic endeavors, especially with Desire Street Ministries, so that's why the award is heavily focused on community service. The first recipient was LSU center Rudy Niswanger back in 2005, and the candidates this year include Ladd McConkey, Blake Corum, and J.D. Bertrand. Next up, we have the Outland Trophy. This award is reserved for the best interior lineman in college football. It doesn't matter if it's offensive or defensive. Whoever is the best interior lineman gets it. The award is named after John Henry Outland, who, during the course of his 7 years playing college football, transfer portal and all, played for 3 different schools and was one of the very few players to be selected as an All-American at 2 different positions. While playing for the Penn Quakers, he was selected as an All-American tackle in 1897, and the next year he was an All-American at halfback. Talk about versatility. He was a proponent for guards and tackles receiving more recognition, and you can see this trophy as an award for the Big Uglies. The first recipient was Notre Dame's George Connor, and this year's candidates are Notre Dame's tackle Joe Alt, K-State's guard Cooper Beebe, and Texas D tackle T'Vondre Sweat. Quiz time. Can you name the award for college football's best tight end? Hint, it's not the Winslow Award. Well, if you said the Witten Trophy, you'd be wrong, but if you answered the Mackey Award, you're today's winner. The trophy's namesake is John Mackey. While only catching 6 touchdowns at Syracuse while rotating between tight end, running back, and wide receiver, he would go on to become a 5-time Pro Bowler and eventual Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee. This trophy has only been around since 2000. The winner that year was Purdue's Tim Stratton, and this year's nominees are Colorado State's Dallin Holker, Kate Stover from Ohio State, and the tight end of college football, Brock Bowers. For our next entry, let's insert some corporate branding along with uplifting stories. This is the Disney Spirit Award. Well, technically it's the Disney's Wide World of Sports Spirit Award, but no one wants to say all that. The purpose of the award is to recognize college football's most inspirational individual or team. The award was first given out in 1996 to a high school player named Daniel Huffman, who gave up his promising career to donate a kidney to his grandmother. The latest recipient was Tylee Kraft of UNC, who was diagnosed with stage 4 of a rare lung cancer. His doctors said that he was mere weeks from losing this battle when they realized that he was actually sick. He was immediately started on an aggressive regimen of chemo and immunotherapy. He's still battling, and UNC honored him by renaming their spring game the #TyleyStrong Spring Game. I actually couldn't find a list of candidates or the recipient of this year's award, so thanks Disney. And just like that, shortly after writing this, they announced that the 2023 winner is Brian Dooley. I'm sure you've heard the feature that Game Day had on Dooley this year. He actually donated his scholarship to teammate and fellow lineman Zach Conte, who was working numerous jobs to help pay for tuition while actually being a starter on the football team. What a selfless and wonderful act. Well done, Brian. Let's give some love to the faces of every program. That's the coaches. Every year, the top coach in the nation is awarded the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year award. Of course, this award is named after legendary Grambling State coach Eddie Robinson. Robinson coached at Grambling State for 57 years and only posted 7 losing seasons and had an overall career record of 408, 165, 15 ties. Only 17 years into his career, Robinson had an award named after him that honored the best coach in football every year. The first award was given to Woody Hayes in 1957. And as you would expect, the list of winners is an absolute who's who of college football coaches, with the latest winner being TCU's Sonny Dykes after their miraculous 2022 season. As we stick with coaching awards, let's focus on assistant coaches. Every year, the best assistant coach in the nation is awarded the Broyles Award. Frank Broyles is the winningest head coach in Arkansas history, and he has also coached the most games for the Razorbacks. Not only did he go 149, 62, and 6 ties, but more than 24 of his former assistant coaches went on to excel as college or pro head coaches, and that's the part that is relevant for our list. The award has been given out every year since 1996, and that year's winner was Florida State's Mickey Andrews. Last year, the award went to another TCU coach, offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. As I was writing this, it was actually announced that the 2023 recipient is Iowa's D coordinator Phil Parker, and what a well-deserved award that is. Next, we have the Stallings Award, which is given to a head coach who is both a humanitarian and exceptional coach. This honor is named after legendary coach Gene Stallings in honor of his son Johnny, and is to remember his efforts to enrich the lives of his players and his community. A unique twist of this award is that each winner is selected by the past recipients, so that's pretty neat. 2022's winner was Cincinnati's Luke Fickell. And the last coach award we have is the George Munger Award, which is presented to the D1 Head Coach of the Year. One thing to note is that the Eddie Robinson Award doesn't specifically note that it's for a head coach, while the Munger Award does. Now, Munger coached at his alma mater Penn from 1938 to 1953. He only posted one losing season in his career, and that came in his farewell season. The first winner was Michigan's Bo Schembechler in 1989. Last year's winner was Tulane's Willie Fritz. One more piece of trivia: the coach with the most wins of the Munger Award is Joe Paterno with 3. In fact, the Maxwell Football Club, who presents the award, announced in 2010 that the award would be replaced by the Joseph V. Paterno Award. Following the Penn State scandal that broke the next year, the award would be changed back to the George Munger Award, and Paterno's 3 awards would actually be rescinded. From one face of a program to another, let's take a look at the Davey O'Brien Award. Actually, the official name is the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award. This one has a fun background. So first of all, let's look at the credentials of the trophy's namesake. Davey O'Brien played at TCU in the mid-30s. In 1938, he threw for nearly 1,500 yards, which was a Southwest Conference record that stood for a decade. He led them, along with a great defense, to an undefeated national championship season that year. After the season, he was named to 13 All-America teams and won both the Heisman and the Maxwell Award in 1938. He had no interest in playing professionally, but relented when the Eagles offered him a $12,000 bonus with his 2-year contract. Now, just to put that into perspective, that is over $265,000 today. Shortly after his death in 1977, the Davey O'Brien Memorial Trophy was created and given to the most outstanding player in his old conference, the Southwest. Texas's running back Earl Campbell was the first recipient that year, followed by Oklahoma's rusher Billy Sims the next, and legendary Baylor linebacker Mike Singletary won it in 1979 and 80. In 1981, it was renamed the Davey O'Brien Award and has been bestowed upon only quarterbacks. Jim McMahon won it in 1981, and last year Max Duggan took home the hardware. Man, there are a lot of TCU winners in 2022. Since we mentioned it, let's dig into the Maxwell. This award serves to honor the best all-around football player in college football as determined by a panel of sportscasters, sports writers, head coaches, and the Maxwell Football Club. The award is named after Robert Tiny Maxwell. Of course, Tiny stood at 6'4", 240. He originally played guard at the University of Chicago and coach Amos Alonzo Stagg. Be sure to check out my video on Chicago in the link above. Really good watch. He would enter the transfer portal, I'm only joking there, and end up at Swarthmore College for 2 years, where he would be named to Walter Camp's All-American team after the 1905 season. He went on to be one of the most highly regarded officials of early college football, and he would also be a sports writer and sports editor of the Philadelphia Public Ledger. Upon hearing of Maxwell's untimely death in 1922, Walter Camp was quoted as saying, "He was one of the finest football officials in the game, and personally an ideal type of sportsman. I enjoyed his friendship, and I believe that his writings have had a great influence upon athletics, especially for the promotion of cleaner athletics. The sports world can ill afford to lose him." Now that's high praise coming from someone like Walter Camp. The first winner of the Maxwell Award was Yale's Clint Frank in 1937. Man, the legacy of the past winners of this award is outstanding. The list of winners who would go on to have awards named after themselves is astonishing. Just a sampler, the first 3 winners were the aforementioned Frank, Davey O'Brien, and Niall Kinnick. In 2022, it was USC's Caleb Williams that repeated O'Brien's feat of taking home the Maxwell and Heisman. One of the winners who would go on to have a namesake award of their own was the 1947 Maxwell Award winner. Any guesses? Well, it was SMU running back Doak Walker. Walker had a Hall of Fame worthy career at SMU, which culminated in his 1948 Heisman winning season as a junior. That year, he ran for 532 yards with an average of 4.9 yards a carry. He threw for 306 touchdowns as a halfback, caught 15 passes for 3 scores, had 3 interceptions defensively, and punted for an average of 42.1 per kick. So yeah, he definitely deserves an award in his honor. Now, despite Doak's many contributions to the Mustangs, the recipient of his award must predominantly play at the running back position. Being doled out since 1990, the first Doak Walker Award winner was Washington's Greg Lewis. 9 out of the award's 30 recipients have gone on to at least one Pro Bowl appearance as a pro. Wisconsin and Texas each lead the way with 5 winners, and only Ricky Williams, Darren McFadden, and Jonathan Taylor have won the award more than once. The latest winner was Texas's outstanding running back, Bijan Robinson. How about we show some love to the defensive players? And what better way than with the trophy that is bestowed upon the NCAA's best defensive player every year? Or at least in the eyes of the Charlotte Touchdown Club and the Football Writers Association of America. That would be the Bronco Nagurski Trophy. And as you would expect, this is named after Bronislaw Nagurski, otherwise known as Bronco Nagurski, which is one of the greatest names ever. It's up there with Edge Strangler Lewis for me. Nagurski is considered by many to be either the best or one of the best college football players in history. He was a dominant force on the field with stories from practices of Bronco taking on 2 and 3 defenders only to split them and drive the running back into the ground during drills. He's also the only player to be named to 2 separate positions on the same All-American team by being selected at both fullback and defensive tackle for the 1929 team. He even received some votes at DN. In 1928, he even had to wear a corset to protect cracked vertebrae in the season finale against Wisconsin. All he did in that game was recover a fumble, run the ball 6 straight times culminating in the go-ahead score, then seal the victory with an interception on defense. And since I love old school wrestling, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that after his football career, he would become the world heavyweight champion by defeating the legendary Lou Thesz. The first Nagurski Trophy winner was Arizona D-tackle Rob Waldrop in 1993. The only 2 men to ever win this award more than once is Northwestern's Pat Fitzgerald and Alabama's Will Anderson. 2023's winner has actually been announced before the award show, and it's going to be Notre Dame's standout safety Xavier Watts. So congrats, Xavier. In a similar vein, we have the Bednarik Award. Chuck Bednarik Award is presented to the year's best defensive player as determined by the Maxwell Football Club. Interestingly, these 2 awards don't always align when it comes to determining a winner. Bednarik was a standout at Penn in the mid to late 40s after his service in the Air Force during World War II. He started as a center, a linebacker, and even sometimes a punter. In 1948, he was the first offensive lineman awarded the Maxwell and was a consensus All-American by the end of his career. He's often referred to as the greatest center in history, but he was also held in similar regard for his play as a linebacker. Pat Fitzgerald was the first winner in 1995 and 96 too. Paul Pizlesny in 05 and 06 is the only other multiple winner. Last year, the award went to dominant Alabama linebacker Will Anderson. Next, we have possibly my favorite award, the Paul Hornung Award. This is the award for the most versatile player in the country. Paul Hornung gets the naming rights for this award because of his ability to excel no matter what position he lined up at. He's shown as a halfback and safety his junior year as he finished 4th in the nation in total offense. That year, he also recorded 2 offensive touchdowns and 2 interceptions defensively in a victory over number 4 Navy. His senior season was something else, man. He led the Notre Dame team in passing, rushing, and scoring on offense, and kickoff and punt returns and punting. Defensively, he led the team in pass breakups and was second on the team in interceptions and tackles. Despite his valiant efforts, his team finished 2-8. But he also made history that year by being named the 1956 Heisman Trophy winner after it was all said and done. To date, he is still the only player in history to be part of a losing team and be awarded the game's highest honor. The first player to earn this prestigious award was Stanford's Owen Marisic, who excelled as a linebacker and fullback. 2023's winner was Colorado standout Travis Hunter. I just love players who are not only talented enough, but willing to help their team to the best of their ability by playing anywhere and everywhere the coaching staff sees fit. You know who can really flip a game? Well, that'd be a fantastic punter. And when you're the best punter in the game, they give you the Ray Guy Award. Ray Guy is one of the most famous early punters and honestly still one of the most famous punters in football history. Read up on his NFL career because, wow, I mean, what a career it was, including hitting the ceiling of the Superdome. But obviously this is a CFB channel and this is a CFB award. He was both the punter and place kicker for Southern Miss in the early 70s and even kicked what was then an NCAA record 61-yard field goal in snow against Utah. As a punter though, all he did was lead the nation in 1972 with an average of 46.2 yards per boot, which included a 93-yarder against Ole Miss. Like I said, a good punter can literally flip the field and game. He was even named the MVP of the 1972 Chicago College All-Star Game. And if you aren't familiar with this game, it was one which pitted college All-Stars against the reigning Super Bowl champs. And a game between college all-stars and Super Bowl champs, the college punter was voted the MVP. He was actually a safety at Southern Miss as well and set a school single-season record with 8 picks in 1972 and was also named an All-American DB as well as punter. He even played on the school's baseball team and struck out 266 batters in 200 innings and added a no-hitter to top it all off. Punters are athletes too, man. The first year of the Ray Guy Award was 2000, and that year went to Wisconsin's Kevin Stemke. Last year's winner was Adam Korsak from Rutgers. Surprisingly, this list doesn't contain a lot of NFL stars. I would also like to note that Utah won it 3 years in a row with 2 different punters. A golden foot is cool and all, but what about a set of glue-like hands? Any idea what award that would be? How about the Biletnikoff? Now, before we get into the background of this award, I do want to point out that even though every winner in history has been a wide receiver, technically, anyone who catches a forward pass is eligible for this award. So maybe we'll see someone like Devondre Sweat get recognized one day. I don't know, man can dream. As for the namesake, Fred Biletnikoff was a legendary receiver for the Florida State Seminoles from 1962 to 1964. Known for his route running, sure hands, and propensity for spectacular catches, Biletnikoff led the nation with 1,179 yards and 15 touchdowns as a senior. He finished second in receptions and scoring that year. In his final game, he set school records for a single game with 13 catches for 194 and 4 touchdowns. All this led to him being a consensus first-team All-American. As you could imagine, the list of winners is just a who's who of NFL Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers. Well, and Justin Blackmon. 1994 saw the first winner of the Biletnikoff and Penn State receiver Bobby Ingram. Last year, this prestigious award went to Tennessee's Jalen Hyatt after his spectacular season. Do you know off the top of your head the award that goes to the top player who started their career as a walk-on? Well, if you don't, let me enlighten you. It's the Burlsworth Trophy. This one may be a little more well-known since it's a relatively newer award, only being around since 2010, and the movie about Brandon Burlsworth came out in 2016. If you haven't heard of Brandon Burlsworth before, definitely read up and watch the movie, because it's an incredible and heartbreaking story. To summarize, Brandon had some offers from smaller schools coming out of a high school, but he wanted to play for his Arkansas Razorbacks. He walked on and redshirted his freshman season. He spent time rebuilding his body into that of a successful SEC lineman, and by his sophomore year, he was a starter and had earned a football scholarship. He was eventually named a captain of the team and would become an All-SEC and All-American right guard. To honor his work ethic and indomitable spirit, we have the Burlsworth Trophy. The first winner was Georgia Tech center Sean Bedford in 2010. This year's winner is the electric running back from Missouri, Cody Schrader. Other notable winners include Jared Abbrederis, Baker Mayfield, twice, Hunter Renfrow, and last year's winner, Stetson Bennett. As much as I love versatile players getting recognized, I also love it when linebackers get the spotlight. There's just something primitive about that manly man of a position that still gives you hope for our sport. The award for best linebacker is the Butkus Award. Of course, named after the legendary Illinois linebacker and center. Dick Butkus was a dominant feature on the Illini squads of the mid-60s. He was a 2-time team MVP, team captain, and even finished 6th in Heisman voting in 1963 and 3rd the following year. In just 3 years as a tackler, he compiled 374 takedowns with 97 in 1962, 145 in 1963, and finishing his career off with 132 in 1964. The first winner was in 1985, and what better player to receive this award than the Boz himself? Brian Bosworth actually won it the first 2 years of his existence. Iowa standout Jack Campbell won it in 2022, and this year's winner is Peyton Wilson from NC State. Are you thinking, man, I wish there was another award for the kickers? Well, look what I just found under the tree. It's the Lou Groza Award for the nation's top place kicker. Groza played in 3 games and kicked 5 field goals as a kicker on the Ohio State freshman team with a long of 45 yards. Man, what a career. In all seriousness, after his 1942 freshman year, he enlisted in the Army as a surgical technician in the battlefields. He's more so known for his pro career, which saw him drill in 264 field goals and 810 extra points across 268 games for the Browns. He was also prolific in long-range field goals in a time when that was pretty rare. The trophy was awarded for the first time in 1992 when it was won by Memphis's Joe Allison. 2022's winner was NC State's Chris Dunn. Alright boys, we're getting to the nitty-gritty now. Next up we have the Jim Thorpe Award. Just like many of the namesakes on this list, I could not do Jim Thorpe justice in the time I have in this video, but I will try to hit some of the highlights. One of the most recognizable athletes of his time, Olympic gold medalist, although he didn't do it with a broken friggin' neck, and the most famous alumni of Carlisle Indian Industrial School. He actually led this team, quite literally, to a national championship in 1912. Depending on who you ask, he scored either 25 or 27 touchdowns that year and rushed for almost 1,900 yards. That's in 1912. Also that year in a game against Army, Thorpe had a 92-yard touchdown that was actually called back due to a penalty. So he just said, hey, want to see me do it again? And rushed it 97 yards to the house the very next play. Even though he's mostly known for his offensive output, Jim Thorpe was an outstanding defensive back as well, and well, that's why this trophy is awarded to the best DB every year. The first winner of this award was way back in 1986, and that winner was Thomas Everett from Baylor. The latest winner was TCU's Travius Hodges Tomlinson in 2022. But I also want to point out that Jim Thorpe is one of my favorite athletes, and you can catch him at the end of some of my videos. Hopefully this one, if I remember to put him in. You know who else deserves a lot of credit? How about a world-class center? Every year, the Dave Remington Trophy is awarded to college football's top center. He's the glue of the offensive line, and some teams just fall apart when he isn't in the lineup. That's the impact of a good center. Dave Remington was, obviously, an outstanding center for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So much so that he was named the Big 8 Player of the Year and Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year as a lineman. In fact, in 1982, he was named the Conference Athlete of the Year for all sports. He also won the Outland and Lombardi trophies and placed 5th in Heisman voting for the 1982 season. As a center. Now, to get that kind of recognition as a center is just absolutely insane. The first winner of the Remington was fellow Cornhusker Dominic Raiola in 2000. 2022's winner was Michigan's Olusegun Oluwatimi. Man, I hope I said that correctly. Now it's time for the big boys. You know how there are multiple awards for essentially the same performance? Like there's the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year and then there's the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year? Well, they do it with Player of the Year as well. One of the awards for Collegiate Player of the Year is the Walter Camp Player of the Year Award. Now, I've teased the Walter Camp video in the past, and I will get to him, but to put it as briefly as I possibly can for the uninitiated, Walter Camp is one of the greatest innovators, coaches, and players in the history of the sport. In fact, his moniker is the Father of American Football. You can thank him for inventions such as the line of scrimmage, the downs system, and the All-American team. He also coached Yale to 3 national championships in 5 seasons, along with a 67-2 record with the Bulldogs. The first recipient of this particular MVP award was USC's Ornithal James Simpson, a man known for slashing defenses and leaving defenders lying on the ground in a pool of their own self-pity. He actually won in 1967 and 68. Caleb Williams won it last year, and this is a long list of running backs and QBs with an occasional wide receiver, but shout out to the linebackers who won it. Pittsburgh's Hugh Green in 1980 and Manti Te'o in 2012. Also, big props to Notre Dame tight end Ken McAfee for winning it in 1977. Now, I know you've all been waiting for it. The Heisman. Well, how about the academic Heisman? That would be the William V. Campbell Trophy. It's named after William Campbell. Well, actually it was originally named the Vincent DePaul Dratty Trophy, but Campbell was the chairman of the board of trustees for Columbia University and Intuit. So, you know, big money, big last name. He was also a coach. He coached legends such as Sergey Brin, Steve Jobs, and Jeff Bezos. He also coached the Columbia Lions, whatever. But it was an overall record of 12-41-1, but the previous coaching accolades were better. Really, this award is more shaped by Dratty, who fully believed that excellence on the football field could and should be consistent with academic distinction and the highest standards of civic leadership. The first winner was Air Force's running back Chris Howard in 1990, and Bo Nix is this year's award winner. But I also want to shed light on the 2002 winner Brandon Roberts. Any guess on where he played? Well, it's an easy one. You probably guessed it. It was Washington University in St. Louis. I just want to point out that this is a major award, but it's open to every division of football, and it's not just exclusive to the big boys. And I think that's awesome. Roberts is actually now a pediatric anesthesiologist, so congrats, Brandon. Finally, we have what every player dreams of winning, the Heisman Memorial Trophy. The award is named and entrusted by the estate of John Heisman. He's been called the pioneer of Southern football. His Georgia Tech team famously beat Cumberland 222-0 without a single forward pass, and he amassed a career record of 186, 70, and 18 ties. Sports writer Fuzzy Woodruff, another fantastic name by the way, was quoted as saying, "He stands only behind Amos Alonzo Stagg, Pop Warner, and Walter Camp as a master innovator of the brand of football of his day." Now, if you've seen my video on Chicago, this is now your second suggested viewing of such a video, you know that the first winner of the then Downtown Athletic Club trophy was Maroon running back Jay Burwanger. Obviously, the list of winners of this award is an all-time historic roster, which helps the prestige of the award itself. I don't care who has something to say about it. USC leads the way with 8 winners, while Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Oklahoma each have 7. Obviously, we all know that Caleb Williams won in 2022, but who do you think wins it this year? Comment below and let's see who takes it this Saturday. Jaden Daniels. Well, there you have it. The history of every NCFAA award and why these great coaches and players deserve to have awards named after them. Thanks for sticking around. And as always, comment below with what kind of video you would like to see, and remember to share this video with just one other person who would find it interesting. Till next time.